We're back again with the Toyota pickup. Today we're going to be replacing the Beltec shocks that we threw on here when we did the drop spindles. And we're also going to be replacing the bump stops. So this is what we're going to be using. These bump stops are off of a 95 Toyota pickup. And as you can see, it comes with this little piece up here, which we cut on this one. So that's going to give us like about half an inch of clearance, roughly. And then for the shocks, we're going to be installing these Monroe load adjusting shocks, 58270. We're going to be trying these out and see if they work better for us. Because the Beltecs, they're okay, but they're pretty soft. So these have this spring that should help with the load. And to be honest, it's not that strong as we thought it would be. So there's two of these, and the bag that's in there has the bushings, this top and lower washer, and the nut, and it has some instructions. So there's these types of end mountings: the loop type mounting, stem type mounting, the bushing and the sleeve, and the bushing and the crosspin. So this is the stem type up top, and then the crosspin on the bottom. You can see it's made in the US. So to cut this off, all we used is this drywall knife or blade or whatever you want to call it. We didn't want to take out the sawzall, so we just used that. We're gonna end up cutting the rest of this off, and then we'll be able to throw these on. So we're gonna measure this before we install the shocks, just so we can know where we're at. We're roughly at 22¼ inch. So we're gonna install the shocks, then put it back on the floor and see if it just the shocks alone lift it up a bit, and then we'll adjust to whatever we want after that. All right, so we're gonna remove the bump stop first. It's right there. These are the stock bump stops. This truck is an 85. That's what it came with. I think those are 12s or 13 millimeters underneath to remove that. We removed both 12mm nuts. Now we're just gonna be able to pull this up and out. Like that. You can see all the cracks of when the truck was lowered onto the bump stop, and it would just smash the bump stop. Now we're gonna throw the other one on here. And let me show you the difference between both of those. So just by cutting that top piece off, I don't know if you guys could tell, but there's a difference in height between this one and this one. I have to hold the camera sideways to show you guys. And now we're going to throw this on and bolt it up to the control arm. We got the bump stop in, so while we're under here, we're going to remove the Next, we're going to remove both of these nuts, and then the shock should be able to come out. Once we're able to remove this top bushing, the shock should drop. And this specific shock comes out in two pieces because this piece is a little too big. And these are still in good conditions. We just wanted a stiffer ride, so that's why we're replacing these. We're gonna assemble this just so we can put it away, and I'm gonna get the other shock now. So we're gonna have these letters facing in and install it like this. And also for this bushing, there's two sides to the bushing. There's the side with the smaller circle right here, and then there's the bigger circle on the outside. So we're gonna match up both of the smaller circles. So this one, the small circle is facing up, and on the top we're gonna have the small side of the bushing facing down, and then we're going to assemble it. We're gonna try to slide this from underneath. See if we could do that. So I'm gonna have to use both of my hands to hold the shock up while we install the nut loosely up here, and then I'm gonna install the two 10mm from underneath. So we ran into our first issue. So the bar pin on the new shock is a little too short. You can see right here, this is the bolt hole, and we have this one in. So we need to figure out what we're gonna do about this. I think ideally we should replace the bar pin, but what I'm thinking of doing is just cutting it on the sides and putting a bigger washer on the bolt, because I don't know where I would get another bar pin. Maybe AutoZone, but we don't have a press. Well, our press is not working right now, so I think that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna remove this real quick. We also have to measure bolt hole to bolt hole. Let's see if we can do that right here. From the top, let's see, it measures roughly 2 3/4 inches from center of bolt hole to center of bolt hole. And on this new shock, we are at 2 1/4, max 2 1/2. So we're like 1/4 inch off. I'm thinking of cutting these ends off on both sides and just running a bigger washer. We were able to install the shock back in, and all we did is we used these washers. I forgot the size, but we had 4 of these, and we installed them on the bolt. You can see them right there, just so they could have a little more surface to grab on. So now we have to tighten up the top of the shock right there. So what we're gonna do is place the jack right here where the strut bar is at, and then lower the jack so the weight of the truck could be on the shock. So we're gonna get it tight enough to where the bushing is compressed a bit, and we should be done with this side. We got it tight. There's no jam nut on this shock. It came like this, just with one nut. So we're gonna jack it up and put the wheel on and see where we're at. Forgot to show you guys, but for the other setup that we had with the other bump stops, this came really close, like barely a piece of paper could fit through this and the bump stop. Now we have some clearance. Put the truck back on the floor, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. So this is what it looks like. We bounced on the truck a little bit just to make sure that it was settling in, and you can see that there's a bigger gap right here, maybe about a finger. We're gonna measure, and we went up 1/2 inch. It was at 22 1/4 roughly. Now we're at 22 7/8. So we have to mess with the torsion bars a bit to get the right height back to where it was. But we're gonna start with the driver's side and finish that side first before we get underneath the truck. And we're also gonna drive it, I think, for 1 day just to make sure it settles in pretty good. So let me go ahead and do the driver's side, and then I'll put you guys back on. Actually, right before we do the driver's side, I want to show you guys a side-by-side. So this is the Monroe, and this is the Beltec. So this one's pretty hard to push down, but it also takes a while for it to come back up. And then this one, I feel like the spring is easy to compress. I can't compress the shock. Well, actually the shock isn't that bad. We also have the load adjuster from Monroe in the back, and it did work out better than the air adjustable shocks, so that's why we decided to give this a try. One more thing I forgot to show you guys before we do the driver's side is the clearance of the bump stop. You can see right there, it has a good amount of clearance. Now let's see the driver's side. That still has the Beltec shock. That still has the Beltec shock and the other bump stop. You can see that there's way less clearance here, so it bottoms out a lot quicker. So hopefully we get a better ride with the other setup. We're done with the driver's side, so now we're gonna drive, I don't know, a couple of miles, maybe 20-30 miles. See how low it goes. This is a pretty big gap. And then we're gonna adjust the torsion bars again. So it's been a couple of days, and you can see that we still have that big wheel gap. So what we're gonna do is get the truck off the ground and loosen the torsion bars so we can get rid of that big gap right there, probably like about an inch. And the shocks, they are doing pretty good so far. So we're gonna center this truck up, and then I'll put you guys back on once we're under the truck. We're underneath the truck on the driver's side. That's the front of the truck, that's the back of the truck, and this is what we're gonna do. So I kind of flip the camera all the way around, but that's the front of the truck now. So basically what we have to do is loosen this bolt, and well, first loosen this top nut, the jam nut up there. Let me grab a flashlight. All right, so we have to loosen the jam nut right there, and then hold the lower nut while we back this off. We're gonna start off with 4 complete turns, and then we'll get the truck off of the jacks, take it around the block. We went around the block a couple of times, so the suspension settled in. Very minor wheel gap. We measured from the ground up to that body line right there, right above the fender, and it's giving us 23¼ inch on both sides. The ride quality isn't bad. I thought it was gonna be a lot stiffer, but it's not bad at all. We do have the sway away torsion bars. Those are an upgrade for these pickups. We now have the load adjusting shocks and shorter bump stops. I'll show you guys the bump stops. You can see that there's a bigger gap between the bump stop and the bracket. And when this wheel is straight, the gap is a bit bigger than what it is right now. So those are the shocks installed. We're gonna keep it like this for now. Maybe we'll go to some tires that are a little bit bigger than what it has right now. It has 185/60/14. And that's pretty much it for this video. Make sure to check us out on Instagram at Yonke_OXC film. I'll leave that in the description down below, and we'll catch you in the next one.